The British Empire, 20th century. At its peak, the British Empire controls 24% of the world's land surface and 23% of the world's population. It is the largest empire in human history by territory. The sun literally never sets on it. At any given moment, some part of British territory is in daylight somewhere on Earth. It builds this empire over 400 years through a combination of naval superiority, industrial power, financial innovation, and systematic exploitation of colonized peoples on a scale never seen before or since. And then it dismantles itself in less than 30 years. World War II is the breaking point. Britain enters the war as the dominant global empire. It exits technically on the winning side, but financially destroyed. The war cost Britain £25 billion, roughly equivalent to its entire national wealth. It emerges from the war deeply in debt to the United States, its infrastructure damaged, its population exhausted, and its moral authority to govern other peoples fatally undermined. The ideology of empire, the idea that some peoples are naturally suited to rule others, does not survive the war intact. A war fought explicitly against racial ideology and fascism cannot be followed by the continued subjugation of hundreds of millions of people without catastrophic hypocrisy. India, the jewel of the empire, gains independence in 1947. The dam breaks. Over the following 2 decades, Britain grants independence to territory after territory. Africa, the Caribbean, Southeast Asia, the Pacific. Each independence creates momentum for the next. By 1970, the empire that once covered a quarter of the Earth's surface has been reduced to a collection of small island territories. Britain does not lose its empire in battle. It cannot afford to keep it, cannot morally justify keeping it, and cannot prevent the people it governs from simply deciding they no longer consent to be governed. The largest empire in human history ends not with a military defeat, but with a check it could not cash and an argument it could no longer make. The Soviet Union. Mikhail Gorbachev resigns as president of a country that no longer exists. The Soviet Union, the world's largest country by territory, a nuclear superpower, the ideological rival of the United States for 45 years, dissolves on Christmas Day, 1991, without a single shot being fired in its defense. It is one of the most dramatic and unexpected collapses in modern history. The problems are economic and have been building for decades. The Soviet system of central planning, where government bureaucrats in Moscow decide what every factory in the country produces, what every farm grows, what every shop sells, works reasonably well in the early industrial phase, when the goal is simply to produce as much steel and coal as possible. It fails completely when the global economy shifts toward technology, information, and consumer goods. By the 1980s, Soviet citizens stand in queues for basic food items, while American supermarkets stock hundreds of varieties of the same product. Soviet computers are a decade behind Western equivalents. Soviet consumer goods are so poor in quality that even Soviet citizens prefer black market Western products when they can get them. Gorbachev introduces reforms, glasnost and perestroika, openness and restructuring, in a desperate attempt to modernize the system. The reforms accidentally accelerate the collapse. Glasnost allows Soviet citizens to speak freely for the first time in 70 years. What they say is that they are exhausted, poor, and no longer believe in the system. Nationalist movements across the 15 Soviet republics gain momentum overnight. One by one, the republics declare independence. Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Ukraine, Georgia, Armenia. The declarations come faster and faster through 1991. On Christmas Day, Gorbachev signs the papers. The Soviet flag is lowered over the Kremlin for the last time. The Russian flag goes up in its place. The Cold War ends not with a nuclear fire but with paperwork.